I'm Greg Yellen with Reynolds & Reynolds, and this is Connected, live at the NADA show, day one today in Las Vegas. This conversation, I get to sit down and talk with Yuli DiMartino with Daily Dealer Live. Couldn't be more excited. Yuli, thanks so much for joining me.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, so this is a little unique because we met quite literally 4 minutes ago, Yuli. So I wanted to do a little get to know you just because we don't know each other. It's always a little risky, when you're filming to do that the first time. But I guess, give me a little bit of your background. Where are you from? What's your story?
I'll do a little deep dive. So I grew up in Italy and in the States. I'm from Jersey. Right now I live on Long Beach Island, a sleepy little vacation town. Right now it's winter time by us, so there's nothing going on. But I've been in automotive 20 years. It's been very good to me. I guess if I was to describe a little bit about, my professional background, I've been very successful by just copy and paste, right? The relentless execution of the basics in automotive seems to be the winning recipe, right? So over the past 2 decades, I've been kind of applying that to every facet of my life. If you know me personally, I'm kind of boring, I guess. I'm very methodical with everything that I do. Every day is almost like Groundhog's Day, very structured. Everything that I eat, everything I consume, gym, work, etc.
Yeah.
So to tie back into automotive retail, I was able to instill a lot of this into my teams. And it's something that's garnered me a great reputation in the industry and a really solid following. And again, there's no magic, right? It's just, you got to be willing to do the things that other people aren't willing to do when they don't feel like it. So showing up on the tough days, not just when the circumstances make it easy to show up. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a great point. And just like, first of all, having the thoughtfulness to develop the process, whether it's, getting ready for the day in the morning, like you mentioned, or whether it's, going through the motions in the store, like think through it and what is the process, and don't be scared to steal it from somebody else, right? If it works, why wouldn't you just take it and try it?
Yep.
And then once you have something that works, just run that play over and over and over again. And if it stops working, change the play.
Pivot.
Right? But until it stops, why reinvent the wheel?
Agreed, 100%. And I tell my guys this all the time, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yeah.
So I really do believe that, if you can dial in these little key components in life, everything else just starts to flourish, right?
Yeah.
So I have never met, I'm sure they're out there, but in my little circle, my little bubble, I haven't met people that are, struggling in one area and crushing it in something else. It really feels like once you dial in all these little things, everything comes together.
That's a good point. I literally never thought about that, but when you say it, it makes complete sense, right? You don't have that huge, the difference between how somebody performs in one facet of their life and how they perform in another. There's just not this giant disparity. Obviously people have strengths and there's different areas of focus at different times in our lives, but usually once you figure it out, you can kind of apply it everywhere. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. All right, so Yuli, you did spend a couple decades in retail, right? And you've made this shift now to being on camera really frequently, right? And a great personality in our industry and bringing a lot of insight from your experience. But you mentioned, automotive's been really, really good to you. So why change? Why the shift? It's a fun game to play, and you kind of hung them up a little bit.
Yeah, well, I'm not out, right? I'm just not directly in automotive retail. And truth be told, I don't know that I'm on camera more now than I was before.
All right, that's fair.
So one of the things that makes the stores fire right now, we talk about all the time, is, connecting through video. So I was one of the guys that, leads from the front. So I was the first guy out there as a GM, showing the guys, flip the camera on, pull the car up. Let's do what we got to do. Let's do a nice little video on this. Let's have a fun walk around. Let's create some fun content. And honestly, that's what ended up bringing me into the car dealership world, was just that, I guess being comfortable being on camera and having, a little bit of automotive knowledge didn't hurt either.
A little bit. So what was the thing that made you decide, I'm going I'm going to take a gamble, right? I know how to do this. I can execute at different stores throughout your career, right? So different, whether it was different franchises or I think you ran a really large used vehicle store for a while.
Yep.
But being able to go and execute, and you kind of know that process that you talked about, right? You can go and wash, rinse, repeat and knock it out of the park at another store too. And teach other people how to do that and grow and grow and grow. So you did that, and now doing something else. Why the shift?
So a dream that I had a very long time ago that I was happy to be able to pull off in 2025 was I wanted the ability to work from anywhere.
Okay.
So it's not about working less, but about just being able to maybe enjoy certain things that you're not able to do when you're stuck within the four confines of a dealership. Okay. Again, automotive's been fantastic. I wouldn't change anything. But 2025 was kind of just a moment that I wanted to reset and give myself a little bit more opportunity. So most of my family, all of my family, with the exception of my mother and my younger brothers, in Europe. Okay. So I spent a lot of time going back and forth, and I figured what better way if I could reinvent myself somehow and, make this stick and make it work. Now I have a lot of more time, to spend with the people that I really love.
All right. I like that. I mean, that's probably the best reason you could have, right? Spend time with the family. What if, so let me ask you this. What if, somebody came to you with an offer you just couldn't refuse, you get pulled back into retail. So you're a GM again, maybe it's later this year, maybe it's 2 years from now, whatever. You're running a store. But let's say it's right now, right? And so you're a GM. What's the number one trend you're keeping an eye on and trying to learn as much as you can about?
So, we talk about COVID a lot and how it kind of reshaped the near-term landscape. And I think what I'm seeing right now, I know what I'm seeing right now is the people that were here pre-COVID, specifically on the variable side, they softened up over COVID. And now with inventory levels rising up in most OEMs, you're seeing that return to normalcy where you can't just show up and be successful. So now we're back into, training, building, executing relentlessly. And that's not a shift that's going to go away anytime soon, right? 2026, I think, is going to be an explosive year for automotive. And the operators that I'm seeing, my friends in the business that are still crushing it and will continue to crush it, are doubling down on things like used car acquisition, fixed ops, and making sure that their team has a unified vision and a way to execute on a daily basis so everyone can be successful. Yeah, no, that's great. So really those, if I'm hearing you right, kind of those value add areas of the store. So if you're a new car franchise, obviously the car's the car, you got to sell it. And that's the hardest part, is selling the car, right? But then once it's sold, and I'm, kind of streaming together a process here, but once it's sold, then you have all these value add areas. So you get them into F&I and, okay, how are we going to, as a dealership, where are we going to add the value, right? What are we going to present? What products are we going to sell? We get them into service, right? How are we going to help that customer there? Where are we going to add value? So really focusing and doubling down on those kind of value add areas where it's not just the transaction, but it's everything after. Yeah. And something that I think a lot of dealers are overlooking, I mean, when 84-month term came to light, people were jumping on it because it was a solve for affordability. But I think it's the kiss of death. These are customers that you're not going to see. So it's good to see OEMs leaning back into, things like leasing, right? Because I would rather sell, in an 84-month term, I want to see my customer 3 times, right? Let's say, and potentially pull 2 trades out of that. So 5 transactions in an 84-month term, as opposed to 1 car deal that you make a couple bucks on, and you probably never see them again because it's just too far. The name of the game right now, and you see it with tech companies, is retention, right? How do we create a customer, but again, not just one customer, many customers, sell into their family, friends, etc. And the only way to do that now is not the cars we're selling, but the experience that we can connect with the customer after the sale. Right. How easy are we to do business with after we sell you a car? And then how can we continuously exceed expectations in every department? Yeah. Are you seeing anybody do anything unique when it comes to finding new things to sell, right? So you think about, we may end up seeing longer terms on loans for, a decent time in the future. Maybe leases
tick up, maybe they don't. But even if our average loan drops down to 5 years, right, instead of 6.5 or whatever it is right now, even if it does drop down, that's still a long time, right? And you get to see a customer once a year now in service, right? It used to be 4 times a year, now it's once. So you get just fewer at-bats, fewer opportunities, fewer interactions. You're not touching the car, you're not talking with the customer. Are you seeing anybody try different ways to interact and different things that you can potentially sell that customer, whether it's a service, whether it's a product? I don't know. I'm always just kind of curious what else is out there.
I don't know that it's different, but remote service, valet service. So I always took it for granted being in the store for 20 years, but now being out, I've gotten my oil changed in my car, I guess twice last year. Yeah. And it was the first time that I had to go into a store and get my oil changed because, for 2 decades, I would just give them my keys and, they'd magically end up on my desk by the end of the day, right? So seeing it from the other side is cool. I think it's really good. Now, we adopted at my stores valet service a long time ago. There's going to be a bigger and bigger push to that because, customers want convenience. And again, these are going to be the key differentiators that are going to help retain that customer. I think I would imagine, partnering with local businesses where a customer might be sitting for a long time. I don't know, a hair salon. Yeah. A partner with them and create some kind of relationship where maybe there's a service coupon or this or that, where you can pick up a car while someone's going to be maybe sitting still for 3, 4, 6 hours. Sure. My girlfriend's in there for, it feels like the entire day. So what better thing to do then to, kill 2 birds with 1 stone than again, re-invite them in and let them know, hey, we service all makes and models. Yeah. So I guess the people that I'm seeing win right now are really leaning into being the most convenient touch point for the customer every step of the way. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. I like that idea too of partnering with local businesses because, even, hair salon's a good idea, right? If there's a spa, something like that. Anything like that. Yeah, I mean, any place that you would valet a car, honestly. Yeah. Like if you're going to valet it, then if you can get something done, even if you do. So say you have a mobile service unit, right? You could do them in a parking garage or a parking lot or something like that. That's an interesting idea. Partner up with hospitals if they'll let you, things like that. I mean, people that are working 12, 13-hour shifts, we'll pick up your car at work, we'll drop it off. I mean, so we want to be convenient, and the automotive is going to. I think the winners are going to continue to find ways to intercept that customer and decrease all the friction points that exist right now. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. So one thing I wanted to get your perspective on, it was just rolling around in my head, and I think you're the perfect person to have this conversation with. So you get to talk with a lot of dealers, right? And you have experience there. You get to talk with a lot of vendors, and kind of your role now. And I'm curious from your perspective, if you think about kind of a Venn diagram, on one circle, you have what dealers are concerned about, right? And what problems they're trying to solve. And in the other circle, you have what vendors are concerned about and what they're trying to solve. And then in the middle, there's this overlap of kind of the sweet spot. So I'm wondering if anything stands out to you, maybe first, that on the dealer side that they're worried about that you don't see necessarily a lot of vendors concerned about. On the flip side, vendors, they're concerned about, the dealers don't care about. And then we'll land on in the middle, like where's that sweet spot that everybody's helping each other? Something that a dealer's concerned about that a vendor is not. I don't know that exists, right? Because a convention like this is a great example. That's true. I mean, there's vendors, there's solutions for problems that most dealers might not even know they have, right? True. But I will say this, the overlap will always be, it's never a problem with a great idea. The problem is executing a great idea. And what I have seen time and time again, even I'm not going to say I was immune to this. I've failed countless times. I've learned from those failures and then, grown after. But the ability to get your team to adopt whatever this new process or system or software or idea is I think one of the biggest hurdles. So I think the winners in this space are going to be the vendors that can solve for that adoption issues for dealers. Because at the end of the day, I think the more portals, the more roadblocks we give even our employees to have to jump into, the more apps they need to log into or logins that they need to execute whatever the job is. Right. I think your adoption rate drops as close to zero as possible. It's very easy to hold managers accountable. Yeah. it's not as easy to hold sales teams accountable. There's always excuses. I have a customer, this, that, and the other thing. And, there's that expression, you can't have the tail wag the dog.
Right.
So I think one of those solves would be, once we can get, whatever the solution is, married with, let's make it seamless and integrate right into, just like the air that we're breathing while we're in the store.
Right.
Make it super easy for my team to utilize whatever this software is or whatever my new sales process is. It's not creating, that other ball to juggle. That's where I see the space evolving to solve whatever is in that Venn diagram.
Yeah. So can you share what your process, clearly, you have a solid process for seemingly, a lot of different pieces of the puzzle. So what's your process, or what was it when you were in the store, running a store? You make the decision, right? And probably with your team to some extent, but you make the decision, we're going to implement X, right? A new CRM as an example. How do you make sure that it gets used and utilized in a way that has the biggest impact that it can? Because that's the other thing, is you implement something and people kind of get by, right? Yeah. Okay, I learned how to use it. It does the thing. And then 6 months later, they're like, man, I really wish this thing would do X. And you kind of look at it and you say, it does actually do X. Like, let me help you figure out how. So how do you go about that? What's your process like from implementation, but then also long-term utilization?
I'd say part of my process is just me being naturally curious. Okay. So as much experience as I have in any vertical within automotive, and some might call me an expert, I still want to stay curious. I met with a lot of my vendors, sometimes twice a month, no less than once a month, because technology moves fast. So to your point, asking that question, when I have a salesperson saying, I wish this does that. No, I'd come out of meetings and be like, wow, hey, we have this new feature of this. Let me train you on it. And again, my ethos has always been leading from the front. Yeah. I'm not someone with a closed door that was pointing the finger, hey, you guys do that. No, these guys would rally around me when they'd see me doing something that they overlooked. And I think that's just how, the modern automotive, I guess any leader should be right now. Yeah. The old days of dictating from a closed office are over. Yeah. So that's been my process. It's worked for me, showing people hands-on. And again, not showing them that there's not one thing in the store that is beneath me. Right. If there's anything that needs to be done, I'm the first person willing to do it, and I'm going to show you. Yeah. And it got to the point where even, my seasoned guys, once they'd see me start walking out somewhere, their eyes perk up. They're like, where's he going? What did he see? And they're trying to get out ahead of me. Yeah. So we have a great relationship, and I'm grateful to still have them in my orbit. I get asked all the time, are you coming back? Are you coming back? I'm ready. Automotive's in my blood. So I'm a dealer advocate for life. So. No, I love that. And I completely agree with you. Like, if you expect somebody to do something, you should be able to either know how to do it, or you need to figure out how to do it to go help them. And you have teams for a reason. You need to delegate. Like, there's no shying away from that. You can't do everything yourself, but you can certainly have the competency to be able to help somebody if they need it. Yeah. And I think that's often, I don't want to say overlooked, but not as important maybe as it should be for some folks. And I really appreciate that. I respect that. I think it's a good way to go about it so that you understand it, and then you can show others that it's important by doing that. Good. All right. Well, Yuli, I want to be, obviously really respectful of your time. It's a busy day, busy week. So I want to make sure not to eat up too much of your time. But what haven't we talked about that we should? Anything I didn't ask you that I should have talked about, or we should have asked you? I think dealers for 2026 really need to get intentional about every movement they're making in the store. Like I said, COVID made people of every level in automotive maybe a little lazier than they should be. Okay. And right now it's, you got to double, triple down on the basics. And the basics are always going to be your used cars and your fixed. So how effectively are you acquiring cars? And think about the people that are most effective in this space, right? They're your Carvanas and things like that, again, remove those friction points. I see so many dealers still fighting, over cars at auction.
Yeah.
And it's like, why? You're surrounded by cars that you're servicing. Do a better job giving them more competitive offers.
Yeah.
And instead of playing the game that used to happen, these companies are winning because they're not playing the game.
Yeah.
They're out there, or rather, I should say, they're playing to win.
Right.
They're not taking shots. So they're going to give an aggressive offer to acquire the customer because they know that they're going to do something. And, I think it ties back into that 84-month term, right? Why make one big deal over an 84-month term that I'm never going to see the customer again when I can eat a little? I was talking to Brian Benstock the other day. He was on the show and he said, if you want to eat a lot, eat a little. And the more I chewed on this, not to make fun of it, the more I chewed on it, I'm like, man, I really like that.
Yeah.
Because he's saying instead of taking these big bites, just little bites consistently over time. And, again, used car acquisition, fixed ops, get intentional with your buying strategy. Make sure that you're incentivizing your team to look for opportunities in the market. I still see for sale signs out there. You see classifieds online all the time.
Sure.
Why not go after those customers?
Yeah.
It's a whole separate thing, but incentivize your salespeople. Or I see people setting up buying centers.
Yeah.
I think a buying center is super smart in any market. Just go out to acquire cars because you always have an exit, right? You can retail the car if it's super clean or wholesale the car. We still got a slew of dealers out there that are begging for inventory that aren't being intentional with acquisition.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's great. Great low-hanging fruit to go after and be intentional is a great message. So, Uli DiMartino, thank you so much for joining me. It was great to meet you.
It's a pleasure.
It was a great conversation. We'll have to do it again sometime soon.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks.
Thanks.
Really had fun getting to know Uli DiMartino a little bit. I hope you enjoyed that conversation too. A ton of great experience from Uli. Also in his new role as a host on Daily Dealer Live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, he gets to talk with operators from all over the country, so gaining even more experience. Again, really appreciate him taking time, sharing insight, and make sure to check out Daily Dealer Live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You can find it on YouTube or on LinkedIn across all social channels. Before we hop off, don't forget you can watch or listen to all episodes of Connected on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify podcasts. And make sure to hit subscribe so you're notified every other week when new episodes are released. Thanks so much. We'll see you in 2 weeks.